But, you know, one of the things we've done that's so good is the Supreme Court. We have 2 Supreme Court justices. We will have, at the end of my term, approximately 300 federal judges, including Court of Appeals. Right?
Stay tuned.
The situation in Afghanistan is so bad, so humiliating for the United States that it's easy to forget the Biden administration has control of this country as well. So what have they been doing to us? Well, that's been going on. We've tried to keep at least one eye open to find out. Well, it turns out the Biden administration has been completely remaking the federal judiciary, as the rest of us have been focused on Afghanistan. In just the past 3 months, without many people noticing it at all, the administration has gotten a remarkable number of its judges through.
These people are sick.
Joe Biden has nominated 33 of them. 9 of those judges have already been confirmed. Many more soon will follow. So for perspective, no president in the past 40 years has come close to these numbers by this point in his first term. Many of these judges, the Biden administration will admit this, are full-blown political activists. They're not jurists, they're left-wing ideologues. They're people like Myrna Perez, who Joe Biden has just appointed to one of the most important courts in the country, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Myrna Perez has spent the last 15 years campaigning against voter ID laws. Anyone who wants voter ID, according to Myrna Perez, must be a racist. Right before her confirmation hearings began, Perez wrote a piece for a social justice magazine in which she railed against, quote, the GOP campaign to make elections less free. Less free! Showing a state ID as you do to get on an airplane or buy Sudafed at Walgreens. So you would expect the Biden administration to flood the judiciary with lunatics like this. They want power, and partisan judges will help ensure that that power goes completely unchecked.
These people are sick.
Here's what you wouldn't expect. And that's one of the most prominent members of the so-called conservative party to spend his time helping the Biden administration do that. But that's happening. It's exactly what's happening. This summer, the Senate Judiciary Committee voted to advance Myrna Perez's confirmation. Every Republican on the panel voted no, except for one. Do you know who that was? It was Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Now, why would Lindsey Graham support the confirmation of someone like Myrna Perez? Well, to answer that question, it helps to know that this is hardly an isolated case. We checked. Lindsey Graham is the only Republican on the Judiciary Committee who has not voted to reject a single judge the Biden administration has proposed, no matter how crazy they are.
These people are sick.
Now, those nominees include someone that many Democrats hope to see in the Supreme Court soon. That would be an activist called Ketanji Brown Jackson. Jackson is a former trial judge who spent the last 4 years writing political orders for the benefit of Jerry Nadler and Nancy Pelosi. For example, Brown once wrote an opinion comparing the previous administration to an illegal monarchy.
How dare you!
Shame on you.
That decision was so crazy that the D.C. Court of Appeals, which leans to the left, reversed it not once, but twice. But it was good enough for Lindsey Graham, who voted in favor of Brown's confirmation. That's because Lindsey Graham, who, in case you didn't notice, spent most of last year begging for your money from conservatives at all hours on cable television, has no problem installing judges who hate his constituents. And you shouldn't be surprised by that.
By the way, congrats on your campaign. You're doing well against, let's see, Barbara Streisand and Rosie. And by the way, people can get all this information on your website?
Yeah, LindseyGraham.com. My opponent's going to raise $75 million from every liberal in the country trying to defeat me. $5 or $10 goes a long way. We need to keep this seat.
Well, I was talking more about the information about the Mueller investigation, but that's okay. It's all good. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's coming too.
You're right. We need South Carolina not to be
If I lose, you'll never hear about
Streisand. Yeah, no thank you.
Can I just end this? If the Republicans lose the Senate, I got to never hear about this crap again.
That's true. We need the truth.
A few years ago, Graham admitted in an interview with Politico that his overriding political ambition was to, quote, stay relevant, not to represent his voters or keep the left from destroying the country, but to ingratiate himself with the people in power and advance his own interests. So in that respect, Lindsey Graham has done exactly what he said he would. The question is, why are conservatives continuing to promote him and allowing him to continue to sit on the Judiciary Committee? Well, we would love to ask that question of Lindsey Graham himself. We've asked him many times to come on the show, but he refuses because he's afraid. And that's a shame. That would be a very interesting, fact-based conversation.
So you have your book,
Yeah.
and look, Donald Trump is a lot of things, and I probably have known him maybe longer than you, well over 20 some odd years. He's a disruptor, he's an iconoclast, he is a fighter, he's also gotten a lot of good things done for the country. He kept a lot of promises with your help on judges, tax cuts. Certainly, he's got the money for the wall, ending burdensome regulation, better trade deals. Baghdadi's dead, the caliphate defeated. What have you learned over this time with the president now, almost 3 years, that maybe you didn't know?
Well, let me tell you what this book is about. This book is about the most long-lasting contribution that Donald Trump and Senate Republicans have made for the country. And that is putting young men and women who are strict constructionists, who believe the job of the judge is to follow the law, on the courts. We did our 50th Circuit Court judge just yesterday. Sean, to put that in perspective, Barack Obama did 55 circuit judges in 8 years. We've done 50 in 3 years, and we have at least a year left for sure. We're going to do more. 1/4 of the circuit judges. Remember, most cases don't make it to the Supreme Court. Most complex litigation never makes it beyond the circuit courts. This has been the most long-lasting, important contribution the president could make well into the future, far beyond his tenure in office. So we'll have a judiciary more inclined not to make it up on the fly.
Stay tuned, Sean.
You know, President Obama said he wanted to appoint judges who had empathy. Well, you know, that makes great sense if you're the litigant before the judge, for whom the judge has empathy. Not so good if you aren't.
Stay tuned, Sean.
Let's talk about the issue has come up. Let's say somebody were to retire at the end of this year, leading into the summer. You have been very clear, if the president appointed somebody, you would follow through on that nomination.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm Martha McCallum in New York. U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has died at the age of 87.
Absolutely. We definitely would do that. And this paperback that we were just talking about, the president's foreword is about judges. My afterword catches up what's happened during the Trump administration on judges, because my memoir came out 3 years ago before the president was elected. What we've done here, the president and I together with this paperback that you've shown on the screen, is to talk about how the Judge Project came about, how it went forward. If you will recall, Sean, the most important decision I've made in my entire political career was not to fill the Supreme Court vacancy when Justice Scalia passed away. That was the beginning, and now we've got an exclamation point here after 3 years that we thought the public would be interested in reading about. And that's why the president and I collaborated on this paperback.
So I was shocked that former President Obama left so many vacancies and didn't try to fill those positions.
I'll tell you why. I was in charge of of what we did the last 2 years of the Obama administration.
I will give you full credit for that. And by the way, take a bow. All right, that was a good line. Well, congratulations on the book.
The question is, why are conservatives continuing to promote him and allowing him to continue to sit on the Judiciary Committee? Well, we would love to ask that question of Lindsey Graham himself. We've asked him many times to come on the show, but he refuses because he's afraid. And that's a shame. That would be a very interesting, fact-based conversation. We hope you have the best night. Sean Hannity takes over now.
All right, Tucker, and oops, didn't hear you. Thank you. Welcome to Hannity.
Stay tuned, Sean. Stay tuned.